Welcome to the Unapologetic Gentleman. I am your host, Snake, and our co host is,
Boss Chief Papa.
and we are here on July,
17th, 2026.
and we have a discussion that we've been wanting to talk about for a long time.
Disclaimer. The Unapologetic Gentleman is an adult podcast, so viewer discretion is advised. We do have adult content, strong language, sexual themes. Viewer discretion is advised.
With that being said, we're going to talk about the 250th anniversary of this country.
250th anniversary of the United States of America. This is the 250th anniversary. I forget the centennial name of what it is, but
Bicentennial.
okay.
It's the bicentennial. So, of this bicentennial that we just had, we've been talking about the America's freedom and everything. I want to ask you the question because I've asked this question also on the Snake Pit. I want to ask this question: whose freedom are we celebrating? Whose freedom did we celebrate on July the 4th? Because you see, a lot of the things that we talk about that's in those documents and about freedom, all men are created equal, was not meant for everybody. The things that they mention about um, liberty and the pursuit of justice is not for everybody. That pledge that we always said, and under God, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I mean, uh, it's not for everybody. We're seeing that with what's been going on lately, with the people going on that have been dying, the black young men, the black young women that have been dying, either hanging from trees or being drowned on boats. And then we also have the Carmelo Anthony situation. So with that being said, and we also have things that happen with those with ICE and those with Native Americans. With that being said, whose freedom are we celebrating?
Mm, mm. That's a strong perspective, bro. But yes, his question still stands. Whose freedom are we celebrating? From my perspective, it is 250 years of the succession of this neo-colonialist regime, of which there was a colonialist regime hundreds of years prior to. The regime that made this country has not ceased. The regime that still makes this country will not cease because it's a part of the function of what made this country.
What makes this country has been racism and slavery. Like it's racism and slavery, and especially racism, is American as apple pie.
Exploitation as well.
You see, what he talked about just now is it's been all the stuff that founded this country, the slavery, Jim Crow, all of it's done still the same thing, but under different names. And now we're having the turnaround of seeing where we're having young black men and women that are hanging from trees. Young black men and women who have nothing to, who have everything to live for, and all of a sudden they commit suicide and hanging from trees. As Americans, we find that offensive to us. For you to say that they committed suicide, we know better than that.
We understand why a black life is still being downplayed in 2026. Black lives are still being downplayed. Brown lives are still being downplayed. Not on, and really, to honestly to say it to you, I don't like the colorism term because using calling us colors is a part of the need of the colonialist, neo-colonialist psychological operation that's still going on to this day. It's layers on layers deep. I'll get it into another video, but as it goes, this psyop that we're dealing with, we gotta understand, and we gotta understand that it is an old psyop, and this psyop has not ceased and will not cease. We fight for our rights every day. We got to prove that we're human beings, number one. See. What people don't understand is what we're talking about, this racism and slavery and exploitation. Why people were treated that way is because they were not considered human beings.
Yes.
They were not considered human beings by the people that established the Constitution and whatnot.
They were considered property. And what you do with your property, you protect it at any means. Now, the property that they had was us as slaves, so they could treat it any which way they feel like it. But if that property ran away, they can do whatever they want to. They can kill it.
Yes. Slave catchers were not just in the South. They went up north too. The slave owners did have slave trackers that would pay them whatever amount of money that they paid them to go up in the northern states and go capture their slaves.
Mm-hmm. And to piggyback off of that, we've been seeing where these young men have been going on boating trips. They're the only black kid in this group, and yet they're the ones who are suffering. From it. We got a young man who just drowned over here in Fort Worth, in a lake. We have over there in I think it was Benbrook or Lake Benbrook Lake. Yes, over there. He was on the swim team, but yet he couldn't. He died. We have another young man that happened in Mississippi, all around the same time. Both of these happened. We already know about the Carmelo Anthony situation and how divided this country is. And to let you know the perspective of how this country is in support of neo-Nazism and racism and everything else, you still have people who calling folks watermelon felons, niggers, and everything else under the sun that you can call us.
Just all terms that mean that you're not human to us. Mm-hmm. So we will do with you as we see fit be done. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what you got to understand as a citizen of the United States of America. Understanding that part of America, that psychology part of America. If you don't do as the Romans do, you can not be considered a human being. And if you don't have your Roman papers, you cannot be considered a human being as well. Okay? You got to have your new Roman papers, and you got to do as the Romans do to be considered a human being.
And what makes it even worse, the President of the United States and everybody that's in that office, these offices, are pretty much upholding these same type of institutions, these same type of laws, these same type of governing bodies to do all this.
Because it's all about power and control. It's all about power and control. The government is a system of control. It's the government. It's the power. It's the power. Now let's get one thing understood. Mm-hmm. Cooperation was an option.
Yes, it
was always an option for the United States to be able to be considered a moral superpower as a civilization.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, the United States of America is everything but a moral superpower because of the exploitative practices that have been done, the exploitative actions that have been done to take over these lands, one,
Mm-hmm.
to displace the people that had these lands previously, two, take people from other lands and put them to free forced labor, three. And after you displace them peoples, after you displace the culture of them peoples, annihilated the culture of them peoples, they had to piecemeal whatever culture that you done made out of out of the civilization that you're continuing to develop off the exploitated civilizations that you're building it off of.
Because you benefited off of all the backs of those people that you just exploited.
Cooperation was always on the table, but it was never considered. Could have cooperated. The Europeans could have cooperated with the Native Americans. Europeans could have had some land. Native Americans could have had their land.
Mm-hmm.
Could have cooperated with the Africans, and nobody could have been shipped nowhere. I mean, you could have had labor forces in Africa that could have shipped your goods all over everywhere and stuff, and labor ports in Europe, and they could have shipped their stuff all everywhere. Everybody could have cooperated, but no. I want what he got. I want what they got.
Mm-hmm.
And
damn with what anybody else says.
Okay. Also, I want what they got is because they're not worshiping God. They're worshiping the devil.
Mm-hmm.
So, since they devil worshippers, me, sent by God,
I gotta take care of this.
Yes, because God willeth to me to take all the plunder, take all the things of the wicked.
Mm-hmm.
They're wicked peoples.
Hmm.
You first of all, and you did not just dehumanize the peoples. You said that them peoples is of the devil. That's even you just an even more made it justified to do all these
evil things to other folks. Justify you stealing. Justify for you coveting. Justify for you killing. Justify everything that you did, all in the name of God. When you know, if you read the scriptures, that is not what God wanted.
But we know who your God is,
mm-hmm.
and it's not the God of the scriptures. Okay, we just know that for a fact. It's not the God of the God of the Hebrew scriptures. Don't want no human sacrifices.
Well, here's another thing that keeps on popping in our head. Well, if that's the case, how come y'all haven't built up your own civilization if y'all want to do all this? Well, we've had chances to where we built it up and where we had it destroyed multiple times. We have cities and towns buried underneath what used to be that are now like lakes. That used to be a whole town, or better yet, used to be a whole town, and now it's a park. Slaughtering the people.
So what my bro is saying, we've had attempts of establishing economic independence, of which they were exploited and destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Tulsa, Rosewood, Lake Lanier, where that's located at. Don't forget Central Park. Central Park was an area where it was a town there. How about Deep Ellum over here in Dallas? How about the neighborhood? How about Chicago? Chicago was founded by a black man. Yes, Haitian. So you see, there has been some times when we have built up, but have been taken away from us because of all of what we just said.
The status quo. The neo-colonialist status quo. Let's give it a term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The neo-colonialist status quo. This is how this is how this country was made, and this is how the country is going to continue to be made. So, as individuals, citizens of these United States that understand how this country was made, and what people had to sacrifice their lives to get some type of sanctity of this country that we're living in. We didn't make it the way that we wanted to make it, but we got to live in it. So, in this 250th, to me, as a citizen of these United States, it is my duty to cooperate with all of my said individuals, foreign or domestic, because I know of the status quo and I am not of the status quo.
Yes.
I am of freedom and independence, and freedom and independence means treating every single individual that bleed and breathe like me, like the human being that they supposed to be. Because that's what it all boils down to. 250 years of understanding that there is a regime in place that state peoples is supposed to have pole position. Everybody else is supposed to be in second, third, or fourth, fight for it, whatever. And they're going to keep that position until that position fully exhausts itself. Now, in the people who are in the second, third, or fourth, or whatever, we got to understand that it is not about that fighting tit for tat. And even the ones in the pole position, it's not the tit for tat anymore. That's the status quo. It's supposed to be controlled chaos. That's what it is. It's supposed to be controlled chaos. But it should be really managed cooperation, not controlled chaos.
And that's the reason why you see all these other countries thriving and we're struggling right now.
Yes. Well, they ain't got they don't have they don't have the I guess they don't have the incentives, but they're not as economically destitute as we are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're dealing with annual rising inflation every year, okay? And it's been rising since, you could say, World War II. About World War II, ever since the World War II Great Depression, the price has just been constantly rising. And let's get it understood. One main factor of the economics of our rising inflation every year has been the wars.
Mm-hmm.
War inflates. War inflates. War inflates. That's what it does. It's the like Smedley Darlington Butler, Major General Smedley Darlington Butler said in his said war is a racket. It's the biggest racketeering regime to ever exist. And Sun Tzu also talks about the detrimental economics of warfare. The one who the one who entertains the evils of war sees the profitable way of carrying it on, and says also some other stuff about the economic evils of warfare. At the same, all in all, what I said all that to say is this: these wars are just nothing different than various forms of cancer. And it's we don't green light these wars. It's the powers that be that green light these wars.
But then they send us out there for the battles, for the wars. You see, another thing that a lot of people like to try to say is black people are not patriotic. That's one of the biggest bullshits I can ever tell you, because majority of the military are black. Every branch, you see a black person in there, and they take over the majority of the military. More than whites, more than anybody, Latin Americans, more than Native Americans, more than anybody. You'll see more blacks in the military, and you can Google it and find out. We sacrificed our lives and in World War II, only for us to still be disrespected in our own country, treated less than trash in our own country after sacrificing our lives for them.
Let's get it understood. We weren't even supposed to be recognized as athletes.
Mm-hmm. Jesse Owens, how come he got more respect and shook the hand of Hitler, and which is in his autobiography if you look it up. He shook the hand of Hitler, but the president, FDR, walked right past him, didn't even acknowledge him after he won the gold medal.
Wow. Wow.
Our own president, his own president.
Wow. Now, for all those that say, "Well, he shook the hand of the most evilest man in the 20th century or 19th century, whatever." Hitler. Let's get it understood about Hitler. I want y'all to get it understood about Hitler. Is that when it comes to evil ideologies,
he's not really that evil.
Hitler like a Charles Manson, if most. Hitler's like a fucking Charles Manson, like a. That's how I consider. That's how I consider him on the level of his ideology. Yes, his ideology is international.
Mm-hmm.
Neo-Nazism is international. Yes, but its effectiveness is it's still secret secret cultish level with a few parades every now and again. I guess if I'm not mistaken, one of some where they have the biggest parades is in Germany. But I digress. Let's get it understood. The all the atrocities that went on in the past 100 years will not compare to the hundreds of years of exploitation in these lands.
Mm-hmm.
About over half millennia of exploitation on these lands. The genocide and exploitation on these lands. So how can anybody in the past 150 years compare to what's been going on, what the status quo has been going on these lands?
And see, we're one of the youngest countries in the world, and yet here we are still facing this atrocity that's been going on with the racism and the slavery and stuff. It's worse here than it is for any other black man or black woman in any other country.
You gotta know where stuff comes from.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta know why stuff continues to go on the way it continues to go on. You gotta know what fuckery is and why fuckery continues.
And how to get out of that fuckery.
Or be an enabler of the fuckery and have it fuck you. One of the two. Okay, this is the fuckery that is America. Okay, that's the fuckery that we gotta always acknowledge as citizens in America, and that's the fuckery that we gotta fight against every day. The feigned justice, the illusory rights and freedoms that are really just a covert contrivances and saboteurs societal programming of a people's into a subhuman class. I'm really still that's really the big fucking problem in America. Why are we still having to deal with subhumanism?
That's one of the biggest problems, and they never will try to solve that. From being subhumans to the poverty levels because of rising prices and everything else, to um, whatever else that the killings, the murders, the crimes going up.
Yes.
You see, everything's still going up and everything.
Okay, it's not by coincidence or by happenstance. It's by design. We have, our government is intelligent enough to know all the stuff that's going on in every single state in the union.
But don't care. We got a guy down there in Austin rolling around in his wheelchair who don't care. He's one of the main ones who's saying the reason why we have a lot of this crime and everything else. Uh, what else? He said something about in one of the elections where it was blamed on us as black folks.
I need to see what that one is. I need to see what that one is.
Yes. He even blamed the bad weather. Oh no, the floods, I think, or something, was blamed on us one time. Or one of these bad weather situations. Yes. Governor Abbott.
Well, we probably got some X-Men type stuff going on with us. Who knows?
If we do, we need to shut down Washington and everywhere else. I would love some sunny days. Well, I want some sunny days, but not this hot, not the sunny days that we have right now. It's over 100 degrees here.
Yep.
So yes.
Yep. That killer Texas heat.
Mm-hmm.
Literally killer.
Yeah.
So we. I know the few people get mad and flustered and frustrated and thinking that we talking down on our freedoms and what black people were given as. It's not even about that at this point. It's about as these years go on, as we continue to live in America, that we are who we say we are as Americans, free and independent. And freedom meaning free from exploitation.
Mm-hmm.
Self-exploitation and exploitation by other peoples.
Yes.
And independent of, let's get what it's independent of. Economic destitution.
Mm.
So, getting ourselves in a financial situation to where we cannot grow out of our economic standard, that we can be independent enough, economically, financially independent enough, and mentally independent enough, first of all, to get to that ideal level of personal economy. That's what being free and independent in America means to me, peoples.
With that being said, I want to go back to.
I'm guessing that concurs with you as well, bro.
Yes, actually it does. It actually does. But with that being said, I want to go back to what I said at the beginning. This on July the 5th, 2000, July the 5th, one day after July the 4th, a quote was made. Somebody said, asked the question that I asked at the beginning. Whose freedom are we celebrating? We just celebrated yesterday the 4th of July. Whose freedom are we celebrating? This was done by Frederick Douglass. So I'm asking you again, as American citizens, as patriots, as you say you are, whose freedom are we really celebrating? With that being said, we're concluding this episode of the Unapologetic Gentleman. I am Snake.
Boss Chief Papa. We appreciate you coming back, tuning in with us again on another episode. And it's time to sign on out. See y'all later on the next one.
Peace.